Hey, do you remember me? It's David Gaston Garlick and my wife Elizabeth and our kids who are starting to grow up now. They're getting older. There's Hannah, Susanna, Mary Jane, Talitha Kumi, Joseph, Sarah, Eliza. We were the people who joined the church and our neighbors burned our barn. Do you remember that? We decided we're going to Nauvoo. They burned our barn. It was kind of winter time, and we wanted to go to Nauvoo on the river. See the river? That little city on the river where the saints live, the Latter-day Saints. We're going to Nauvoo. We got there. It was so cold. We got there in November. There was snow all over the place. And when we got there were a lot of people coming, a lot of people besides us. And there were some buildings there. See, these are where people live, the houses, and there's a log cabin, they're all brick right there. And there weren't enough houses. There just weren't. There's a lot of people coming, and there weren't enough houses. So we found a blacksmith shop that was empty. What's a blacksmith shop? That's where you make metal. There's a blacksmith shop. This guy's a blacksmith, and he pounds with fire, and it's hot, and he makes metal, like horseshoes and different things you can use, because you can't really buy that at the store, you can kind of, but you just want to have a blacksmith. So we found an empty blacksmith shop. So there was no blacksmith. It was just empty, and that's where we moved into when we got to Nauvoo. Well, fortunately, it was so cold in the winter, the river froze. Because it's on a river, Nauvoo is on a river, the Mississippi River. And the whole river froze. You could walk right across it. So I walked across it to the other side, and I cut down some trees, and I brought them back over, and I made us a nice little house for us to live in, so we didn't have to live in the blacksmith shop anymore. It worked out pretty well, but we wanted a house, so I made us a house, and it was nice that it got so cold and helped me out there. When we got to Nauvoo, here's all of us in Nauvoo, in our little house. The prophet Joseph Smith wasn't there. He had gone to see the President of the United States and try to get help. Because we got our barn burned. We weren't the only ones. Things have been happening to all the saints everywhere. And we needed some help to the government to say, stop doing this to us. Stop taking our stuff and burning our houses. And so Joseph wasn't there when we arrived, but he came back pretty soon. And my daughter, Talitha Kumi, she believed the church, but she said, I want to hear Joseph preach. And then I'll decide if I want to get baptized. I want to hear Joseph preach. So that winter when he came back, Brother Joseph, oh, here's some new people. Hello, nice to meet you. And we held a meeting, and he taught, and we went and listened to him. And he taught a very good meeting. And Talitha said, all right, I want to get baptized. I would like to get baptized. Now that I've heard him, I believe him. I feel the Spirit when I listen to his teachings. And so we went down to that river, because it's spring now, so it's not frozen anymore. And that is where Talitha, my daughter, got baptized. That's the river, okay? It's blue. And she got baptized by Joseph right in that river. Baptized. Now she's a member of the church. Oh, good. All right. And so we enjoyed hearing Joseph preach. We needed to build a temple. we need to have a temple. And we need to have some money for that temple. And I had some money. We had been able to get our money out of the bank before we left. And we got some money for the farm, you know, sort of. But we needed a lot of money for the temple. Okay. And so I said, let's give some of our money to the temple. Let's just give some of our money to the temple, and we will help. Let's give some more. We need to have that temple. We need a temple. We need to have it. Let's give some more. Let's give. We'll be all right. We can live off that much. All right. We need to take this, give it to Joseph. We're going to build a temple. We're going to help build the temple. And this was kind of a loan of my money, and then they would pay me back. But, you know, the government didn't help us. When Joseph went to see the president, he didn't help us. And our land got confiscated, and I never got my money back. Because we built the temple, we got it. But the mobs took the temple away from us, and we lost all that money. That's okay, we got the temple built. We got it built. We knew Brother Joseph, as we called him, and we knew his wife, Emma, Sister Emma. We knew their brother Hiram Smith. Oop, hang on, Hiram. Hiram and Joseph were brothers. We knew them, and we knew Hiram's wife. And we were there when they started the Relief Society. And Elizabeth went to the Relief Society, and Talitha Kumi went with her, because they didn't have like young women's or anything for young girls. And so they went when Joseph started the Relief Society. There's Joseph right there. And this was just for women. And boy, they liked that. We liked Relief Society. It was good to go with my daughters. All my daughters. And we could just go and listen to Joseph preach. We liked that. That was a good thing. We had our oldest daughter, Hannah is our oldest daughter. And she went and worked for Hiram and his wife. There's Hiram. She went and worked for Hiram Smith. And once she was taking care of the baby, little Joseph Fielding Smith. Do you recognize that name? Joseph Fielding Smith. He was just a little baby. And she was getting him dressed. And Brother Joseph came in and saw her and said, oh, now, Hannah, you're doing it wrong. That's too tight. It's not comfortable for him. And so he got the baby dressed. And Hannah said, well, I think I know how to take care of a baby, Brother Joseph. Now, this is more comfortable. Here you go. All right, let's get him dressed. And she said, all right, I'll listen to the prophet. He knows. He's sure a cute little baby, though. Well, something happened. Joseph and Hiram got arrested. You know, they often get arrested, and we don't like it, but they always come back again, and so we're glad they always come back again. And we remember that last time we heard them preach, and they got arrested, and they went to Carthage, a place called Carthage. And we thought, well, we'll probably see them again. They usually come back again. Be all right. I don't know, something felt different this time, but they got arrested. I'm Talitha, remember, Talitha Kumi. I heard the prophet speak right before he went to Carthage. And then he was killed in Carthage. He and his brother Hiram were killed. They didn't come back this time. They didn't come back. They were killed in Carthage. by a mob with some guns because the government didn't help us. And everybody in Nauvoo came to see them. And they left their wives as widows. They didn't have husbands. They'd been killed. Our prophet Joseph was dead. He was dead. I remember there was Signe Rigdon was talking, and oh, we're gonna miss Joseph and Hiram. Signe Rigdon was one of the church leaders, and he was talking, and he kind of thought he was gonna have things his own way. He got up and talked to the people and said, it's time for the church to choose its own prophet. We've lost Joseph, and the church is old enough that it can choose its own prophet. And he thought he could, maybe he could be the prophet. He could run the church, but he was mistaken in that. The 12 apostles, most of them were on missions, and they came back. And one of them was Brigham Young. That's Brigham. And he came up and talked to the people, and he said, if you want to follow Signe Rigdon, if he thinks he can lead this church, you go ahead. The church is with the apostles. We've lost our prophet. The church is with the apostles. And I remember Brigham talking, and all of a sudden, he looked like Joseph when he was talking. When Brigham Young was talking, this guy, he looked like Joseph. He looked like him. He even sounded like him. I don't know how that happened, but all of a sudden I knew Brigham Young is going to lead this church. He's going to be the prophet. I'm going to follow Brigham Young.